Good morning and welcome to the Vision Alignment Show, where we all understand how our vision should be, could be, would be aligned with our core beliefs, our core values, and our core strengths. Because that is where we're going to have the most success, where we're going to have the most productivity, we're going to have the most happiness. And that is really where we all want to be. I think that's probably true for many of us. So somebody that knows a lot about happiness is somebody that's coming on today, and I'm really looking forward to having her back. It is none other than our good friend, Lisa Koenecke. Hello, Lisa. Oh, where are you, Lisa? Are you there? Where are you? There you are.
Well, good morning, everyone, or evening or afternoon, however you're watching this. Bienvenidos, welcome, hello, everything. I love being the happy person, yes.
A little Spanish there.
Oh, un poquito.
Un poquito. Very nice, very nice. Well, that's good. So, Lisa, tell me, what have you been up to?
I have been so fortunately busy in trying to promote the second edition of my book, Being an Inclusion Ally, the ABCs of LGBTQ+. And it has been so wonderful, not only getting into the big stores, the Barnes & Noble, the Targets, but this month we're talking about accessibility, which is why I love being on your show, and reach, and really trying to push local and independent bookstores. And then I just started. So today is day 8. I have 30 days of gay videos that I talk about how you can be a better ally, not just to the LGBT world, but to everyone. So it's very, very fun. I've been busy doing all that.
Awesome. Very cool. If you want to hear more about all this, stay right there. Lisa. You're right there.
I know, Brian. I love this Brian with one eye. Hello.
You're so nice and so funny.
Oh, thank you. I think so. But if you ask my wife, it depends on the day.
Well, tell us, you talked a little bit about what you've been doing. Can you tell us exactly where you've been? Obviously, you've done a lot of it online, but others, have you been in person?
I have gone, let's see, speaking in person. I did my first one. So thanks for asking that question, because another thing that I'm really trying to promote is how mental health providers can help those who identify as either lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. And if you're watching the news, especially how some governments are trying to ban trans athletes, it's messing with a lot of young people's minds and their mental health. And so I did have an in-live presentation here in Dane County, Madison, Wisconsin, talking to the mental health providers about here are the things to say to ask, and especially offering more resources. Because again, 3 out of 10 of us know someone who identifies as transgender. And so whether it's in Ohio or Wisconsin or wherever you're watching from, the goal is to keep kids alive.
Right, right. And our friend Robert LaFrance is on here. Hi, Robert. Good to see you this morning. And he says hi to both you and me.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
Good morning.
So you've been Dade County?
Yep. So Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay. And I know you've had other stuff happening online. So can you tell us some stories from some of those things where you feel like you've really made an impact, and because I know you're doing that
Yes.
with all you do.
Oh my gosh, thank you very much. So this month is we have kind of a celebration of buy one, give one. So I took the model from Bombas, and I'm wearing my rainbow Bombas socks, but I won't show those to you right now, but just trust me that they're there. And so when someone buys a second edition of the book, Lisa K, Your Everyday Gay, we're going to donate a book. And I think the best story literally just happened this weekend, where we were down in the Milwaukee area of Wisconsin, and we were checking into our hotel, and the employee saw my wife's rainbow purse and asked about it. And if you're not familiar with this world, just having someone tell us that it was the first day that they were their true selves and identifying as a trans man. And I gave a book to this person, and it was just, it's so fulfilling to pay it forward, because that young person was so excited and started crying because they wanted to share the book and the resources with their mother, who was having a hard time with this young 27 or 20 something person coming out. So we've done that. And I've been speaking in New York and Idaho. Later today, it'll be Vermont. I've done Massachusetts. So another goal of mine is all 50 states. So if you're listening, I still have 19 states. Hello, I'm looking at you. New Hampshire. That's one that I don't know anyone. So that
New Hampshire.
Yeah. So if you know anyone in New Hampshire,
I'll have to think about that.
Yeah. So it's just wonderful virtually being able to reach. And a lot of my population are school counselors and other educators. And so bringing in now the mental health side of things, administrators, et cetera, it's wonderful to have that reach. People can ask me any questions. I'm getting a lot of questions about, how do we use our pronouns and those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So tell me, I'm pronoun challenged. So talk to us a little bit more about how to use pronouns.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you asked. And I would like to tell everyone that Ryan says this is his Wagner mug for his last name. I'm from Wisconsin, born and bred cheesehead. So this is the moving W, but we'll go with Wagner today. So let's go back to pronouns. So one of the best ways that I'm trying to help people shift from a small a ally in the LGBT world to a capital A ally is by using pronouns. And so as you can see in my video window, I have she, her, and hers after my name. And what that is it's a nod to my friends who are transgender, so that they know that I'm a safe person that they can ask questions of or come out to or anything along those lines. And with that being said, there's another term that's actually in my book that's called cisgender. And Brian, you are cisgender. Congratulations, because you were, I know, isn't this fun? You get to learn today too.
Okay, had no idea.
So I'll use me as an example. So I was assigned female at birth. Okay, so I came out, they said, yep, you're going to be a girl. And I still identify as a female. So that is cisgender. You were identified male at birth, I'm assuming, and you still are identifying as male, so you are cisgender. And that term has really only come into the general nomenclature in the last couple of years, because we didn't want to say that I was anti-trans or the opposite of trans. And so that's where cisgender came in. So again, it is just trying to help all of our friends who are becoming their true selves to say that I'm a safe person by having my pronouns there.
So when I say I'm cisgendered, that just means I'm not trans.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
yeah,
that's an easier way to say it. Well done.
I'm not very good at simplifying things, but hey, every once in a while.
You did.
So tell me then, I hear a lot talk about binary, non-binary.
Yep.
Help me with that.
Binary, male, female. So that would be the binary. Kind of think about it like black and white. And so when we are having a lot of younger people, some usually, so I'm in my 50s, I'm a Gen Xer, and we're kind of, a lot of us are beyond that of the non-binary. We're either going to be cis or trans. And so the binary, again, is male or female. And that's how we have all been acculturated. That's what our culture says, okay? So we're going to have boy toys, toys for boys, toys for girls, right? So you go through a fast food restaurant and you ask for a meal that makes you happy. And they'll ask, do you want a toy for a boy or a toy for a girl? I am of the ilk, and I would love for there to just be one toy that anyone can play with, because Legos are wonderful. You could play with it if you are assigned female at birth or assigned male at birth. So how so many more people are identifying as non-binary, it's like, you know what, I'm kind of, don't put me in a box. I want to wear the clothes I want to wear. If I want to hang out with this population, I want to hang out with this population. So you're having more people in the binary, not in the binary, if that makes sense. So don't try to classify me as one way or the other.
Okay. What are some of the other terms that I'm not up on?
Well, no, that's okay. And then I saw your look, and I was like, I can keep going because I can talk about this forever. So the other thing, and I'll bring the worlds together of the non-binary and the pronouns. You may be seeing people using the pronoun they. And if you do, please know, especially if you are an English major or you're way into, this is the law of singular words and such. 2019, they was the most looked up word, and the Merriam-Webster dictionary added they as a singular pronoun to the dictionary. Here is my example. So this is a wonderful example of the non-binary, that you see someone. So for example, I don't wear makeup. My gender expression leans more on the male binary than on the female binary. I've got short hair. I don't wear makeup. So I could go by they, but I choose to use she as my pronoun. And so when, I lost my train of thought because I was so excited explaining all of this. So when someone uses they, it is singular. And here's my example. Let's say that someone left their coffee cup at an NSA event, National Speakers Association event. And even though we know who this might belong to, someone might say they left their coffee mug at their table. Okay. Versus saying she left her coffee mug or he left his coffee mug. So you don't have to like be an expert on this. It's just one of those things that you're going to be seeing more of, especially in the next 5 years or so. So do not worry if you are not up on all of the nomenclature. Just call Lisa K your everyday gay. This is what I do. I can help answer any of these questions.
Oh, another friend of ours is on here, Mark Husick. Good morning, Mark. It's good to see you this morning.
Yay.
Well, this is interesting. So tell me about some of the conversations you've been having with the people you've met with online. What are those conversations been like? Have they been much like the conversation we're having today, or have there been other things you've talked about?
Well, I will say with my educator friends and the school counselors, I'm getting a lot of questions about the term intersex. And so what is this? So I know, and that's okay. So here's what I can tell you is that there are more people who are born intersex. I'll explain it in a second. So intersex, INTERSEX. More people born intersex than people who are born with cleft palates and people who are born with natural red hair. So what is intersex? Thanks for asking. Intersex is when a baby comes out and the baby has genitalia that's hard to determine. And so, it doesn't, I won't go super graphic on you, but it's just one of those where, baby comes out and they're like, oh, I'm not sure on the birth certificate. Do we mark male? Do we mark female? Or now, because the healthcare world is catching up, some states allow doctors and the parents to mark I on a birth certificate. And so that is what intersex is. And the reason I'm talking about it is think about how we were educated to our friends who have autism. So for the past decade, we've learned lots about autism. And the ratio started out that 1 in 166 kids were born with autism. And then it went down into the 140s. And I think it's into the lower 100s that more babies are being identified early with autism. And that's what we're going to be seeing with our friends who are born intersex. And so just like, here's the number one tip that I can give to you and all of the listeners, never ask anyone about their junk. There, that's it. So that's all that you need to know.
Well, why would I?
Thank you. You wouldn't, but some people do. And so it's just like, some people, and that's the number one thing for my friends who are transgender, they're like, never, ever ask us about our junk. Don't ask us where we are in our transition. And so, if someone presents and if they say that they're male, go with it. I also, Brian, I had a student once who presented as a mermaid. And so I learned a lot about mer culture that year, and I just went with it.
Really?
Yeah. How about that? Let's talk about LGBT issues, and then I go right to a mermaid. Did I throw you for a loop there?
Yeah, right. So where does that fit in the LGBTQI? All those acronyms, all those letters, I don't understand. And then, so there's a funny guy on here, Wes.
He does identify. Yes, Wes. That's very fun that you did that. I threw the mermaid in as a curveball to you. So it really has nothing to do with the LGBT world other than, especially if you are a parent and if your child comes out to you and says that they are identifying now as trans or they want to use male pronouns instead of female pronouns, my ask is that you just unconditionally love that person and say, I maybe I don't understand, but I will support you. Because that is the one thing, Brian, that I didn't get growing up. As soon as I came out into my family, I was disowned. And I was 25 years old. And so again, my mission in working with you and getting the word out is that the highest rate of attempted suicide and completed suicide is in the LGBT youth population. And so I want to keep people alive. And so when I say it's a great day to save lives, that's what we're doing. Just like donating the book to you and to your school library. Do you want to talk about that? I'll ask you.
Right? I got it right here.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
What are you going to do with that book there, Brian?
I've already had a conversation with the school librarian. And she said, yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have that book. And if the author would sign it, that would be phenomenal. So I actually had Miss K, Lisa, sign it for me. I don't know if you can see that or not, but yes, she signed it. And she said, thank you, dear reader, for saving lives. Lisa K. Very nice. So, yes, thank you for this. And the kids at the School for the Blind will enjoy it, I'm sure. I think that it's all this is very important for us all to be able to be more inclusive, to understand, the world. I mean, I'm a backwards guy from Northwest Ohio. I grew up on a tomato farm, so I really wasn't up on all this. So getting to the point where I'm at least understanding and asking the right questions. There are wrong questions to ask. I realize that, but getting to the point where I understand that there are right questions to ask, that's been helpful. And my daughter is one of the most vocal, I would say, person that I know from this perspective, and she's been very helpful to me to help me to get farther in my understanding. So, and you, Lisa, have just added to that, so I appreciate that.
And with that, Brian, over half the battle is just you being open to learning and wonderful. I'm so excited that your daughter is helping you along this journey. And I know that we had the conversation that, I am trying to reach so many different populations that maybe don't fit the typical LGBT world. And in my work as a diversity, equity, and inclusion presenter, I want to get this book out into as many populations as I can. And so earlier I was telling Brian, so we have another friend in NSA. Hello, Donna Mack. Hello, if you're watching this. And debating whether we should put the book into Braille for the School of the Blind in Brian's library right there. And then Donna even mentioned audio would be a wonderful opportunity. And so I am in the works of being the author and narrating my own book into an audio book version, so that, people who are visually impaired or whatever it might be can also then just listen to the book. And I'm also in the works of trying to get it translated into Spanish. So if anyone out there would like to help with that, gracias. So again, my Spanish is not very good, but it is trying to get out of my cisgender white privilege lens and save lives of anyone. Because again, I was disowned, and I know that I have privilege. So it's a lot more difficult if you are of a different color, of a different culture. I don't mean that in a bad way, different color. I didn't mean it like that. And if English isn't your first language and your cultural values are not as my Midwestern German growing up, but they kicked me out anyway. So that's what I wanted to say. So thank you, Brian, for being open to talking about these issues.
You're welcome. So what are some of the other things that I should stay away from? So I made the mistake of asking, were they a boy first or were they a girl first? So I know I shouldn't say that, right?
Right. And here's the thing with that. You can ask those questions. So I want to absolve you. I am not Catholic by any stretch, but I want to forgive you for everything. Half of what I am trying to help our cisgender, especially our heterosexual, that would be you, friends and allies, is that if you... I
appreciate that. You identified me as heterosexual.
Well, I was just taking a guess there. So, I shouldn't assume, but I think you have told me that. So there is that. So we have that. Okay. If you mess up, just say you're sorry. That is the best thing that I can say. And so, and then you ask the question. So I know I shouldn't say this. And going back to the pronouns, that's where I'm starting, because I think that's an easy thing. And I'm not saying that you, Brian, have to put them on, but especially for my educator friends, those are the things. And in my world of diversity, that I can show that I am open to these things. So assigned female at birth and assigned male at birth just came onto the scene in the last year. And so if you say born male or whatever, that's okay. Again, I forgive you. Everything is fine. And it's one of those things where I'm going is looking at policies, and especially in the schools, because there are going to be more students, again, who are transitioning. And here's a fact for our listeners, everyone today. Children usually know by the time they are between ages 3 and 5 how they identify. And what I mean by that is, even if they were assigned female at birth, and then let's say age 4, let's just go with that. And they like playing with tractors, GI Joes, and not wearing dresses. Okay. I was called a tomboy growing up. That's just how that was. And so I knew my true self. That's a whole nother story with that. But going back to the young child will know how to identify. And so then it's up to that loving adult to go with it. Here's another example for you. Were you born right-handed or left-handed, Brian?
Right-handed.
Right-handed. I too was born right-handed. So we have that privilege because in our culture, that was the dominant, that was the most used hand. My wife was born left-handed. And when she was in her Catholic upbringing, the nuns kept her in from recess so that she could practice using a scissors with her right hand, because the nuns said her life would be easier if she were right-handed versus left-handed.
Really?
True story. And so that would be the example that I have, in that it's really hard. So if I were to try and say, okay, Brian, today you're going to be left-handed.
Yeah.
I know we don't do a lot of writing, but imagine what that would be. You know, you can't use your dominant hand for eating or whatever that is. And so in a lot of my presentations, that's what I'm trying to explain to people, is that this is how this kid was born.
Yeah. Wow.
Something to think about.
Something to think about, something to learn about. This has been phenomenal, and the time goes so fast with you. I can't tell you how this has been so helpful. But what else? What can we leave the audience with? You know, the people that are listening to this. And by the way, if you're listening, put in a hashtag live. If you're listening to the replay, put in a hashtag replay. Share this video out. That would be great if you would do that as well. So thank you for that. Oh, and by the way, if you want to win a free copy of my book, and I'm going to guess even a copy of Lisa's book, yes. So we'll enter you into a raffle if you put a photo of you winking in your timeline, and there you go. Thank you very much. And as you wink, we want you to think what makes you unique, because we're all unique in our own certain way. So that is great. Now, at least I think you know what makes you unique. I know what makes me unique. And what makes me unique is not my eye. What makes me unique is my willingness to share my story with other people, to have a lasting impact on their lives. So that's what makes me unique. Now, having said that, you're killing me. No, in a good way.
I gathered that. Yes.
But I want to ask, what would you leave people with? So we've got a few more people that have joined on, so we'll say hi to them before we cast off like we're castaways. But then there's also Jackie Peterson, who is on as well. Good morning, Jackie.
Fun.
Yeah, we've got lots of people on. So what would you leave people with from an overall, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure the right thing to say.
I've got it. I'm ready.
Okay, good. I don't even know what I'm asking.
Well, you're doing great. You're wonderful. The thing that I would want to leave everyone with, and I talked to Brian about this earlier, is that in the LGBT community, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer questioning, and then the plus includes other things, we are just like you for the most part. I pick up dog poop just like you do. I go to the grocery store. I pay taxes just like you. And so my thing is, don't be afraid of us. Ask questions. And I'm going to say that especially if it's someone who is not in your sphere of influence, doesn't look like you and sound like you. And if someone comes out to you and they trust you enough, the best thing you can say, thank you. How can I support you? Maybe they just want to talk. Maybe they want you to help advocate for them. Who knows what it is? But I love that Jackie is on here right now, especially with Sherm, because we're really trying to have human resources think about how to be inclusive and to employ our population. And that in our population, we have $3.7 trillion in purchasing powers. That's with a T, 3.7 trillion. So if you want to market to the gays, we've got some money. And just show a rainbow somewhere. That would be wonderful. So that would be my ask. Just be nice.
So how can I serve you? How can I serve you?
You already have, in that you've had me on your show, which is awesome because I love reaching different populations. You've put the book and donated into the School of the Blind. And Brian, the best thing that you're doing is you're asking questions out of concern versus a weird curiosity. So that is what you are doing, my friends. And, and just say, I do have a friend who's gay and she's really funny. So I am Lisa K, your everyday gay. That's it.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining. Would you mind hanging out in the green room for me for a little bit?
Love it.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'll close out the show and I'll be right there. Wow. What a show. What a show. Lisa Koenecke is phenomenal and just so knowledgeable in all that. We want to do everything we can to be diverse and inclusive of everyone. So look forward to having Lisa back because I like Lisa. And she's going to be, I'm going to be meeting her in July here in Las Vegas. So we're going to have a conference together for that. But if there's ever anything that I can do for any of you, please let me know. Because I want to make sure that these videos and these connections that we have are all inclusive and they're all serving you and they're helpful for you. So if there's ever anything else that I can do for you, please let me know. And as always,